Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I want to share with you my thoughts on The Art of Self-Defense. And I had an okay time with this movie. I really did enjoy a lot that this movie had to offer, and I did have some issues with it, but I'll get to that a little bit later. First off, I want to give big credit to Jesse Eisenberg. He is the film's lead as Casey, and I like his story. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg, you see him in a movie, you kind of know he's going to play this socially awkward character, fish out of water, and he's used really well in this movie. And as his character goes through his arc, you really kind of enjoy scenes where he's just in he's still socially awkward, but he's much more assertive now, and it was just nice to see. It wasn't as hilarious as Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3, but it was fun to see. I also thought that the movie was way more violent than I was expecting it to be. And it's not gory, it's just when something violent happens, this movie holds nothing back. It is brutal in how graphic it is. And I appreciated that. It should be brutal. And that's really the theme of this movie. This movie's very on the nose with its subject matter. Its themes are right on the nose. This is a film really that has a lot to do with, topics such as masculinity, and in particular toxic masculinity. And this movie seems to be set in the mid-90s. I mean, the computers in this movie that's definitely not from anything past 2002. But I like the way that this movie went about telling its story in an era where you could say maybe that was the last heyday where toxic masculinity, you could say, was really at its strongest. That was probably the last great era of that. And this movie has a lot of themes to do with what it means to be a man and what is considered a man. And I enjoyed it. It's very on the nose. It doesn't really try to hide it, but it's very good. And a movie that has that kind of subject matter should be on the nose with it. I did think this movie at times, though, was a little bit slow. In particular, the first act. And I understand the first act always has to set up where these characters are at. And it did that, but I have to admit it, I was just kind of sitting in the movie just like, okay, can we get things going? But once it gets into the second act, in particular, one scene in particular, it's a lot more exciting of a movie after that. I also thought that for a black comedy, I really wasn't laughing too much in this movie. There were some laughs in this movie. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't funny. It's just that I felt like it really took itself a lot more seriously and didn't want to really overdo it. It really didn't want to kill the brutal message it was giving with a lot of comedy. I've compared it before and I'll compare it again. This movie is really, what if The Karate Kid met head to head and had a collision with Fight Club? And it really merged the themes of those two films very well. And overall, I had a good time. I really did. I have to say, yeah, I had an okay time with this film. But I'm going to give this movie a cautious recommendation. I still think it's a worthy film to watch. I'm not going to say that it's going to have a cult following. It might, but I just don't think for the casual audience and for many people, this movie does start slow. And if you're not really on board with it early, I think it'll lose a lot of its audience. So I'm just going to give it a cautious recommendation. But I do thank you all for watching once again. I'm trying to get better on YouTube. I know I've got a lot of work to do, but I appreciate everything. I appreciate you watching this. Thank you. Have fun at the movies.